Well, hello. Hey, I'm sitting here today with the Roof Joker. How in the world did you come up with that name?
It's been my nickname. I tell stupid jokes from the roof.
I saw that on social media. Bad jokes from the roof with the Roof Joker.
Yeah.
And it's taken off like wildfire, man. How long you been in business?
We opened on April 1st of this year.
Okay.
And God blessed us with a hailstorm on April 15th. So it was a really quick start, a lot faster than expected. Created some jobs, so that was great.
Cool, man. You got a bad joke with you today?
What do you call two witches who live together?
I have no idea.
Broommates.
Dude, that one's funny.
Yeah, I got a whole list of Halloween jokes for October. So.
When we arrange this, I'm pulling out. This is my go-to. I've got one for you to see if you think it's bad enough for your quality. Okay, there's a mama polar bear and a baby polar bear.
Okay.
And the baby polar bear asked the mama polar bear, "Hey, am I 100% polar bear?" And she said, "Well, yeah, your father's a polar bear and I'm a polar bear, so that makes you polar bear." And he said, "Are you sure that I don't have a little black bear or grizzly bear in me? Like nothing funny happened with a mailman?" She's like, "Son, of course not. I told you, your father's a polar bear. I'm a polar bear. That makes you polar bear. Why do you keep asking?" He goes, "I'm freaking cold." Does that work?
That's pretty funny.
All right, so you came in today to go through RoofLink with me. You're a young company, but a growing company. You guys are on track to do what?
4.2 million.
I wish my first year looked like that, man. That's good. And that really is why I developed RoofLink, right? Because going from 0 to 5 million, you can do that with a scratch pad and a paper and your ABC price list. And what are you guys using now?
Job Nimbus.
Okay, and what do you like about it? I'm not trying to rag anybody. Yeah, but what do you like about it?
No, it's definitely not all bad. I like that they, have the app and I can, look at the pictures of the jobs. It was why I went with them, but we've really struggled with reporting and just seems like I've got to have 10 other different apps to sync with that to do the job, and it's just everyone at the office is frustrated and constantly telling me that they're frustrated with
there ought to
job
be something
numbers.
better at this point in time, right?
And so when you reached out, we kind of talked about that, but we were in the heat of summer and there was no time to do this, but it's settling down now, and I think now's the time, and we're looking to transition. That way we can start January ready to roll 100% on RoofLink.
And what we're doing today, this is completely green. We haven't rehearsed this. You haven't seen this product. You probably saw some videos and stuff like
I didn't even know this was all happening.
Oh, really?
Yeah. I thought we were going to do a video together.
So you guys are going to get an uncandid look at what a potential RoofLink client is looking for. We're going to do a demo together because I want it to be real. I want him to ask the questions that I've answered 100 times, but maybe not as you're watching training content, sometimes that can be a problem because you're like, well, what about this? And we skip right over that stuff. So I wanted somebody that has no knowledge of the software. This is either going to work out really good for me or really bad for me, depending on what you think of the system. But let's get started. So the first thing I want to show you is basically our customizable workflow and dashboard. So right up here you see these tabs, and you can add any tabs that you want. You can put them in any order that you want. So you can see here, add group, reorder group, remove group, rename group. One of the things when we first started RoofLink was developed for Heritage, my company, and we built all the tools that we needed along the way, and we called things certain, and it was a real problem for people switching over. So now you can name these things anything that you want. Same thing with these widgets. You can create your own widgets, and the whole goal would be to really set up your production pipeline. I'm logged in as a kind of a CEO here, so I've got all of them in a row. But you want to start with the most organic process, which is creating leads, and then go to your production, and then go to your accounting, and then to your leaderboard, right? So that everybody along the line, the nice thing about RoofLink is if you're logged in as an admin, and let's say that your job is procurement, you're buying materials and scheduling jobs, you don't need to see all the stuff that I need to see, and you don't really want to have to sift through it. So to each permission setting is a unique dashboard. We preload what we think they need, but then they can edit it, move it around, and you can add, as the owner, you can decide what you want them to see, what you don't want them to see. And like I said, these are all very customizable. So we're in a demo account here, but if you click on one of these jobs, And you can search the database at any time for anything using this universal search bar. But this is the basic overview of what a job page looks like. As you can see here, we pretty much handle everything from automated emails, SMS, roof layout, which is a roof measurement tool, commissions, payments, everything's handled right here on this job page. So basically these dashboard widgets are streaming together in list view or report view of all of those segmented data forms that are in this job form. So if you want to know anything about this job, you can just go to the address, look at the job. If you want that all put together in one place, then you have a reporting widget that shows you. And you'd mentioned the other day on the phone that you were trying to track down how much money you were owed on jobs that haven't been produced yet, right? Or that had been produced yet. Anything like that, you can get as incremental as you want. And as the guys are turning these jobs in, those are going on that list. As they're roofing them, they're falling off that list, and nobody's having to go through there because it's all based off of these different job statuses, which are also customizable. So this is our prospect checklist in the system that just that we have in our demo account, but you can make this be whatever your prospect is. When that job is submitted and approved, it comes over to this job checklist, and this is your workflow. We got it approved, we ordered materials, we scheduled the roof, marked the roof as complete, picked up the first check, completed the trades. As those trades, because we generate all these work orders down here, the system will, for anything that's in the estimate, as those guys are saying that they're finished and the salesman is marking them complete, these things get automatically marked. So just from a broader CEO level view, you'll be able to really keep track of how many window screen jobs do I have out there. We keep the little stuff that holds up your money, we keep track of all that stuff separately, and then once the job's closed out, it's a closed job. While that's happening simultaneously, you'll see that all of these map, if you've ever seen Sales Rabbit or something like that does the prospect mapping, we do the same thing, except we follow it all the way through from the prospect point through job completion. So if you look at this legend right here, you can see that gray is deleted jobs, blue are closed, paid in full, green is approved, purple is prospect, yellow is address only, which just means we want to talk to this person, right? And then orange is denied by insurance. As these things get older, they fade in the sun. So I can just tell by this light green color that this is a job that was closed out but not paid in full a long time ago. And as you see right here, that was over a year ago. But I didn't have to click into it because I could see by the faded color on the map that it was, in fact, an older job. So let's get started. I don't want to take you on a guided tour. Give me an address for a customer or yourself that you're familiar with, and I'm going to show you how easy it is for your sales guys to put jobs in the system.
Let's just do my house.
Okay.
1008 Comal Run, Comal.
Hello?
Yep.
Man, there's a bunch of houses there. So you'll notice it pulled up your information automatically. Joshua Hayden, built in 2018.
Oh.
All that stuff. Because we're trying to make this to where our sales guys will use it. So that's what we call one-click lead creation. All I've got to do is change this status to, I'm sure he's going with a roof joker. So he's under contract with another company. And then I can just go in here and put his email, phone number, any type of information, and I'll just put mine in here so people don't blow you up. I clicked on the house, changed the lead status. I've got a blank job status here, and then typically the next thing would be measuring the roof, right? And so
we normally order a GAF quick measure.
Okay.
And it's not a big deal that you went from corner to corner, even though that front corner is 1 story and the back corner is 2 story.
No, it's basically taking a formula like you were doing a slab measurement.
Okay, yeah. I do those and then put the pitch factor on it, and
it normally comes out
pretty dang accurate.
Dang close.
Yeah.
If you do this right and you get your ridges and hips in there for your ridge shingles, you can get within a square of eagle view every time.
Yeah.
So, but the main thing is you got to do an average pitch and not facet by facet pitch, and you'll see why here. We do the building name just because there's some people that use this to measure apartment complexes, and you'll want to do them building by building. So you can do that for sure. All right, so we're going to do 10% waste. All right, so now I'm going to go in here and I'm going to draw on my ridges. And we'll do our hips. If you ever want to move anything, you can just grab it and move it. And again, they sell these, I hear a lot of roofing contractors talking about the level of precision in their measuring tools. And I'm telling you right now, this is going to get you within a square of eagle view. But at the end of the day, does it really even matter considering these things come in 33 linear foot bundles, right?
Yeah.
You definitely want to have at least one bundle left over when you're done with the job.
Yep.
And so you don't have to be perfect. Don't spend the time to get it exactly on the line. You just want to get within the bundle.
I just don't want to be 10 squares off or 5 squares off.
That's right. Yeah. If you do have specific pitches, like let's say that this one corner of what side did you say?
The rear slope is an 8/12 and everything else is a 6.
Okay, so let's say that you did have one that you're paying for pitches on. If you pay for 8s.
Yeah, so if I'm bidding a retail job, if there's an 8/12 pitch, I just charge the roof at an 8/12 pitch.
Okay.
And then when I pay the crew, I pay for what they actually pitched at 8.
So here's how you'll tell what they actually pitched at 8. They did 10.3 squares at 8. The rest was at the 7.
Okay.
And what that's going to do is it's going to create on your work order. That's what that pitch tool is for. Is it's going to create a line item on your work order that says, "Hey, 10 squares at 8.3." Your crew can log in and see this roof measurement and go, "Yeah, he paid us for it."
Yeah,
it cuts out a lot of the.
We've had some questions on stuff like that where the crew. We had one where we put a Malarkey legacy shingle, four bundles per square.
Yep.
And he sends me an invoice for like 70 something squares. It was like a 50 something square roof. I was like, dude, what is this?
Yeah.
I can't pay you for 70 squares if it was only 56.
He was counting bundles.
And I showed him. I showed him our GAF quick measure. I showed him the insurance measurements.
Yep. When I first got in this business, I came from the masonry business, and we paid for square footage of wall. I can't imagine how much stone it would take to rock a wall if you were paying the guys for the amount of material they use. They'd never make the stones work, right? And so that's one thing that I've always done at Heritage is I pay my guys for what's there. I don't pay them for what they use because you're incentivizing them to waste. And so
you pay a little bit more per square, but you pay for actual square footage. I've considered doing that.
Probably so. I mean, it seems to be. We're a bigger company, so we're doing a lot of volume. So it seems to be comparable with what I'm hearing. A lot of guys are paying for labor, but we do not pay for. I mean, we do pay for waste, calculated waste.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, gotcha. But what the RoofLink layout tool says that it should be, not what they actually use. That's
right. So if they waste extra bundles or drop a bundle off the roof,
that's on them. And in fact, if it's egregious, I'm going to back charge them for the material because that's the biggest thing. We caught a roofer throwing a few bundles in the trailer, and man, they're stealing
the material and the labor from you
to get the labor from you, right? It's like, man, if you want to rob me, just rob me 100 for 100. Don't rob me 300 and net yourself $70. That's the crazy part about it. So we've done everything that we need to do. We've got all of our measurements right here. We're going to turn this into an estimate, a material order, and a work order. So you're using GAF, aren't you?
Most of our roofs are going to be GAF.
Okay, so we're going to pick GAF, HDZ, we'll call it Lifetime, ABC Supply, bid type.
I use Beacon.
Okay. I don't think I have their pricing in here for this demo account, so we'll just go with ABC here. And I'm putting it in as a cash bid since you didn't bring insurance paperwork to work on, but I'll show you how that. Okay, so you'll see here I've got my estimate in the background here. This is a total of it. I've got my material order and my work order for this roof. So if I pull up my work order, I can see that I've got my labor charge for my 8/12 pitch at 11, hip and ridge, starter, everything that I am paying this crew for, and that's determinable by the company. If you're not paying for starter, then we can make it to where your template.
Yeah, so I don't pay for starter. I do pay for hip and ridge, but I don't separate it out. I currently don't separate it out. It
would take too much time, right?
Right. If I've got 30 squares of field and 200 linear feet, then I just pay you for 32 squares.
Right.
So,
this is nice for them to
It
be able
gets
to
funky
see
when we
it.
get into timber techs and stuff like
Right,
that, where it's
right.
only 20. I'm like, nope, that's 5
Yeah.
bundles per square.
Right.
It's not 3.
Yeah, this will break it down for you, and it'll work out to be the same. And you don't have to have it break out the ridge if you don't want it to.
Okay.
But sometimes it's nice to be able to show those crews that get combative on the price. Well, you didn't include the hip and ridge. Yes, I did. It's right here.
Yeah.
Right. Most people don't have the ability to break it out. That's why they don't. But if you're letting the computer do the work, you notice that all we did, we're kind of changing the workflow from what currently happens to where the sales guy has to create the estimate, material, and work order, turn that into an office, have somebody check everything, go back, to where all they do is do the roof layout tool, and then it turns it into the estimate, the material order, and the work order down to a level of specificity of exactly what it's going to cost you to roof this job. So we're starting with the known. Whether it's an insurance job or a cash job, they all start the same way. You measure the roof, figure out what it's going to take you to roof the house, and then you work the problem backwards from there. Once we know what it costs, and then we can go in here and say, okay, hey, your the upgrades, we're upgrading you to a lifetime. What's a discount y'all give?
Military.
There you go. And we're doing all the work. If it was an insurance...
On insurance work, I try very hard to just do the roof.
Right. So this is where you'll give them that credit back, right? You'll select this button right here. You'll turn that off.
Yep.
And now look, there's $13,000 in work not doing, which
Right.
says that we would owe the customer now $6,800. So that's how a lot of guys that are using fence money to offset the deductible, that's the button you would push to make that work.
Yep.
And let's just say that there's a fence on here. So we'll just do custom each, or custom, you normally seal a fence by the linear foot.
Yep.
I hear a lot of people saying, hey, RoofLink is just a roofing. It's not. I mean, you can do anything, and we've made it really easy. If it's in you can put anything you want to in your database, right? So if you've got fencing figured out by the foot, then put that in there if it's something you're going to be doing over and over again. If it's just a custom item like this.
Yeah, I think we've stained like 3 or 4 fences this year, just where I would rather refer somebody to my guy who stains fences and have him get the business and have him deal with it with the scheduling. And that way he refers me roof work than to use him as a sub and have to deal with all the stuff. We're really good at roofing, and we're really bad at coordinating all these other little things.
I think most guys in the roofing business are that way. If they live in an area where they get enough hail work to where they don't have to do the other stuff, it's like, hey, I don't want to mess with that. So you've got the ability to, but if you want to match insurance,
now in the winter, I probably want to.
You do a little more fencing. Yeah, that's right. You do a little more fencing staining than before. But you can create any custom item you want. A custom item is anything that you don't have in your database. If you're doing fencing, windows, siding all the time, we'll put them in your database when we onboard you, so that your guys can just choose from those items, right? Okay. But then we can again select this as work that we're not doing, and because we're not actually doing an insurance job right now, and this is set up on the cash layout, you're not going to see deductible and all that stuff. But so we'll just take this off. But that's how you would do it on the insurance job. When you designate insurance job, it's basically just going to give you a place for the deductible.
You got a lot of places for payments.
You do, because there's
you got jobs where you take 6 payments.
Man,
do you do by the trade, like when the trade's complete?
Well, I have. So the way that we do it at Heritage is we collect the first payment once the material's there and the roof started. I'm not saying at Heritage is we'll take your old roof off without anything down. We just won't put the new one on. We do not collect, down payments at the signing. No, we'll start the job, but you got to make sure we have that payment before we put the new product on. And basically, I just want my guys to pick that check up first thing in the morning. I don't want to take their money ahead of time, because if it rains and stuff, I don't want them to think I left town, right? So hey, we're big boys. We can get the material there, but we will need payment. At least that first check before the roof goes on.
We take 1/3 at contract, 1/3 at material delivery, 1/3 at completion. That way we're 2/3 worth of payment.
That's right.
Before we've done the work.
Yeah.
And we're covered.
You're probably going to cover your cost anyway. So so this is completely customizable. However you want to do it, you can have these things preset to pre-fill. Like it pre-filled these in for us, but you can have that set however you want. So that's all I've got to do, and then I'm going to hit Save Contract to Job Docs, and we're going to do the insurance. No, we're going to do roofing contract. Let me make sure. We're going to do the estimate. Okay, so now it's going to prepare that document for me. It's going to be over here ready for me to enable the RoofLink signatures, and this is what I'm going to get. So here's my payment schedule. Just because it's a cash deal, there's no insurance verbiage in there. And if I want to marry this together with my contract, I can. I'll just get out of this preview, and I'm going to import.
So the pricing is lump sum, just one line item.
It's however you want it to be.
I prefer it like that. Yeah. That way you don't get in trouble with the comptroller.
On this particular case, let me pull this thing back up.
You start making it look like you're selling shingles, and then comptroller wants their cut.
On this particular case, let's see how I zoom in on this. Okay, on this particular case, what I do is one lump sum, and then I put all of these things in. So it looks like I spent some time on this estimate, but I just clicked a button.
Yep.
Right. Keep in mind, the only inputs I actually made besides selecting things was just doing that roof layout, and it brings it all the way to my contract here. Now, Jason and them are working on a way to do like a good, better, best thing, but the way that our software is built is basically
Well, I kind of like this. That way, instead of giving people 4 options,
right,
we can have that conversation with them and kind of gauge, okay, these people are probably silver or gold.
Right.
It's very, very seldom do you think someone's going to be leaning more towards the silver and then they're all the way in platinum.
Platinum, yeah,
unless you just misread something or you didn't ask the right questions. Yeah. So,
and at Heritage, that's the way we handle it. That's why we've never built it into, like, we try to sell them the roof before we ever file a claim. Like, we're selling them platinum from the moment we knock on the door.
There you go.
And then if we lead with that platinum quote and they can't handle it, then we can back it down. But once they,
when the customer has the understanding that you have a builder grade roof, that's what your insurance owes for.
Right.
You're going to live here a long time. Now's the time to change to a really good roof.
Right. And
you present them with the benefits of going with an impact resistant roof, or even just high profile ridge caps and a full system with a system plus warranty. Then I think it's,
you just kind of steer them ahead of time. But you absolutely can do as many estimates as you want to in here. The other thing that you could do as far as like putting your contract with this, you can have it as a packet that comes out where everything's preloaded in there, or you can just import this template and we say, okay, we want that plus we want the roof measurement summary. That's going to be our measurement, basically your measurement report. And then we could also put in here the contract. Okay, so now I've got all these documents in here, and I can make a kind of a mega document and send that out. So I'm going to combine job docs here, and whatever order I select them in, that's the order they're going to go into. So think of a sumo quote, right? You're basically building your own sumo quote in here. And so if I click on the roof, I want to lead with a roof measurement summary. I want to start with that first estimate that we did, followed by the roofing contract. Then I'll submit those, and I can include any photos that are in the job file. I submit that. It makes a mega PDF here that's also DocuSignable. And so this is now my combined job docs. So here's my measurement report of all the numbers. From the roof layout tool, I can send that to this report as well, so they have the actual drawing. Some guys want that, some guys don't. But then I've got my estimate, and then I've got my entire roofing contract here. And you can build that a la carte every time, or you can have us just load it in as one packet. That's your only option. Since I'm a demo account, I like to see people to see that, hey, it doesn't have to be all this stuff. But if you want to put as much, you can put I've got companies that put in their LLC documents, their certificate of insurance, all that stuff.
We generally send out an email with our insurance and our GAF certification.
So,
hey, Logan's going to be at your house tomorrow at 2 p.m. Here's a confirmation, and here's a copy of our insurance.
I just uploaded this true definition duration thing, and then I could combine that with my combined job docs, and I'll have a combined job docs here. But it also blends like the best of PDF Expert, right? And all
I
these.
don't know what that means.
Well, all these like PDF combining
Yeah.
technologies, right? We've built it in the document folder,
Okay.
so you can put 100 photos with an inspection report and your estimate, and it's going to compress it all to where it stays under the size limit,
So you can
send
email
that
it.
to the
Gotcha.
yeah. And there are separate pieces of software that's all they do. $1 billion companies that's all they do, and we built that into here. Because it was so maddening to have to go take everything out of here, upload it to something else, let that compress it.
If I want to send an email through Job Nimbus and I don't have the photo report from Company Cam as a separate like document, and I just want to, I might be able to send 5 pictures.
Right.
You know?
Yeah. Now you can send as many as you want here with this, because it just the way it compresses it. So that's pretty much the basic layout of how you would get to a contract signing. Once the job has been signed, then your guy's going to submit that for approval.
And everything's DocuSign?
Everything's we built our own version of it.
Yeah.
So you don't have to pay by it's RoofLink signatures, but it's the same thing. It's electronic document signing. So your guy, and everything's included for that one low user price. And it's not one of those things that you get all these bolt-ons added to you and like, oh, well, yeah, if you want the electronic document signing, that's this price.
How do payments work? So I just switched. Well, I'm in the process of switching from Payzer to Spot On for credit card processing because I went from 3.5% to 1.99. How do I record payments in here, and is there a way to link those up?
Yes. So we've got one of the best QuickBooks integrations that I think anybody's ever built in any software. Like it's going to link up with your. Are you using QuickBooks Online?
Yep.
Okay, because we do both online and enterprise. Your guys are going to handle the payments right here. So customer owes. See how it says customer owes $12,000.
Yep.
So you just have make a payment. They'll put in the amount. Method. Which check is it? Because again, this is triggering reports and things in the background, right?
Gotcha.
So that you can say, hey, how many of these are first checks? How many of these are final checks, right? Now, if Megan, my wife, that does the collections for Heritage, she uses this a lot. Insurance company says they've already mailed the check, so she'll go ahead and put date to be collected. She'll schedule this for the sales guy as a collections event. Hey, they should have it by Tuesday. So that she communicates to them that, hey, call this customer on Tuesday and tell them we're coming by to pick up our money. That's the only way. As I showed you our office earlier, we literally have 3 people that are in the Heritage office that run the entire company with over 70 sales reps. And the way that we've been able to do that is through RoofLink. Because when I started with RoofLink, we had probably 17 people in the office trying to keep track of all those sales guys and keeping everything moving. But when you set it up right in the front to where the sales guy's doing these things, hey, I'm just recording a payment. What he doesn't realize is he's putting checks in all these other boxes, taking that off the AR report. Jobs that used to have to be done by somebody, now the computer does automatically, which he wants to put the check in because his commission's triggered to collecting that first check. Yep. So you give the sales guy what he's looking for, which is, hey man, I want to get that check collected to get my commissions released because that's automated too. And meanwhile, it's updating your AR report for you, right? So that's kind of the way that I said it in a lot of our beginning videos, we hid the hook in the food. You cannot ask sales guys to do something because it's good for you. You've got to ask them to do things that are good for them and then extrapolate everything you need out of that action item from them to get the information that you need. So who collected it, whatever, and then you add it. You can add the image, or if you're doing this from your mobile device, which most guys are, it's got its own scanner built in. They just take a picture of it, and now you've got it collected.
All right.
And that's going to update your books. All right, so payment has successfully been made. Now, your admin is going to have to approve that payment, right? Because what you don't want is your guys saying, hey,
I collected money and triggering a commission check on money
that's right.
So
they've got that shows up in a widget on your accounts payable ladies or guys your accounts payable person's widget that's unapproved payments, and then they'll pull it from that and they'll just hit approved.
And you guys will help train my sales guys on how to use this?
Absolutely. Yeah, the sales guys training, that takes about a day.
Okay.
That was the whole point of RoofLink is all we got to teach them is how to do the roof layout, right? How to take pictures of checks, how to follow the instruction prompts, and I'll show you on the app how it just walks them through your inspection. They've got to take the photos to keep going forward. When they're done, like you're going to get everything you need from them without very much training. The office side takes a little bit more time, right? Of making sure that part's lined out.
I think we'll be able to work that out because I've got 3 girls. One's a part-time, and so I think getting Melody and Wendy trained up, and Teresa can man the phones for a couple of days. And
those 3 people should be able to take you to 50, 60, 70 sales reps when you're fully automated, right? A lot of people ask me, like, no, do I get rid of my people? No, don't do that. Grow. Just grow, right? Grow. But look at the data. I mean, this is like a P&L that I have on this job right here, and nobody's had to prepare that for me. If this guy's done with his job, then the sales guy comes in here and well, we would have to place the order first. Because this is going to handle all that for you too, right? So your person that's purchasing the material is going to say, hey, we want this on the 22nd. It's going to automatically connect to your suppliers, and then it's going to send that out, and it's going to order that job, place it on our calendar. That's one thing we haven't even. We're going to have to do a part 2 on this and get into all the calendar integrations, all the scheduling, everything like that.
Some of my guys use the Job Nimbus calendar, which I don't even know why they do that. Job Nimbus does link very well with Google calendars, and I follow my Google Calendar. Right. I click on it, I click the address, I go follow the blue line, and I get there.
Yeah. Well, same thing with us. So we are integrated with Google Calendar. So anything that's done in here will make it to your calendar.
Awesome.
But we could literally do a whole segment on just the calendar is so robust. That I'm going to avoid getting into that, but you can have multiple calendars, right, for your crew, for your adjusters meetings. Like you can preset all of that stuff to where you can just go, okay, I want to see this calendar, I want to see that calendar, and it's simultaneously linking to all those characters involved in that. So when I just did this, it put a scheduled event on the calendar for the material being sent. I can notify the homeowner. I can do all of that stuff automatically.
Does it do text as well?
Yeah, it does. So you can handle all that right through here. You can have preset texts that go out at certain stage intervals in the job. You can set it to where it's sending out emails or text a year after the job. Weren't you saying you do a preferred warranty thing?
Yeah, so I require sometime between year 4 and 5 for you to come out and have me reseal your exposed fasteners, and then that maintains your warranty.
You set all that up in the system to where those people from the day the job was closed, they get a reminder at 1 year, 2 year, 3, however, wherever you go, right?
And then I get a phone call and we get to go reseal the roof.
So you'll see here that I've marked this job. This is complete. If I mark it as paid, you'll see, so each one of these things are, just take a second because I got to hit the database. But you can see that it's been paid on this day. And it'll tell you right here. So when you log in, you can see, okay, that's been paid. So now the work order, let's mark that. Your sales guy is going to mark it as complete. When it's been marked as complete, it's going to show up on a widget on your admin's dashboard. And she's going to come in here, write in the check, and then mark it as paid. So now I've got a complete P&L happening too. So it's all job. It's not going to handle any of your accounting that's below the line, but all your above the line cost of goods sold, it's going to handle on a job by job basis all those expenses.
That's another thing we run into with the issues. Like when we pay an invoice for a week worth of materials, we got to manually go in there and
here's why, because you're letting your supplier generate the invoice, and how often are they wrong? Are you checking them?
Yeah, we're spot checking them. We should probably be checking.
So that's how I got Shauna. She was an auditor, so I hired her to come in and audit all my material. This is back when we had a lot of people here.
Yep.
To go through all my material. I just had a hunch that we were being overcharged, right?
Yeah.
And I am not making any accusations against the supply industry. I love them dearly. I'm sure everything was honest as hell. I really don't think anything was nefarious.
But there's a lot of opportunity for disconnect.
Oh, you got a $12 an hour counter guy writing up a $10,000 order. And, each contractor has their specific pricing, but then if they can't find something, they always can default back to this counter pricing, right? And so I think it's honestly, it's nothing, it happens to all 3. What I notice is all the main suppliers, it happens to them all. about the same amount. When we went through those hundreds and hundreds of invoices, it was about 10 to 12 grand a month in loss. And you couldn't say that one was worse than the other because they all did it equally, right?
Yeah.
And it makes you think that it might be on purpose, but I promise you, I've done enough digging to know that it's not that at all. Most of the mistakes were not honoring our pricing, and that's when I called Jason, the developer, and I said, "Hey, man, I'm done getting their counter guys to work up my orders. I want to send them a material order. This is what we want. This is our pricing plugged in. If you send it, this is what we're paying you for it. And then I write them the check off of here, and here you go. That's what I'm paying you for it. That's what we agreed upon. I don't let it's my job to count my money, right?
Yeah.
And it's their job to count their money. So they can, when they get it from me, they can verify it against the order I sent them and go, yeah, they can do whatever they need to do to make it match up in their end. I don't care. I'm writing them a check, and it'll total it for me. All my paid material orders, this is who I'm writing the check to, and this is how much. Send that out, and I'm done with it, And if they don't want to send me material, they don't have to, but never had that call. So, but there is always that a couple $100 a job. The other thing that you have the ability to do is you can create a material order from multiple suppliers. And this is why a lot of the suppliers will not integrate with us, because they don't want you to see ABC next to Southern Shingles. But what I can do is do the exact same with Beacon if I have their pricing in here. I don't know why.
And as they update pricing, it automatically updates in here?
No. So as pricing changes, so like right here, here's a great example, right? This job is $36.88.35 from Beacon and $37.64 from ABC. It's close enough. I mean, it's within $100. That's typically my rules. I'm not going to beat them up over $100. But if you're roofing 1,500 houses a year, $100 a job, it adds up. And so you definitely, it's okay to make a choice to go, hey, look, man, and I'm not making any recommendations on suppliers here, but say, hey, ABC's doing a better job in this market for me. We make those kind of decisions all the time. Their service is better, their support's better. Hey, we like our sales guy better. Mm-hmm. And so but at least
he brought me tacos.
Yeah, he brought us some tacos. But at least we know we're paying $80 more a job, right? And then same thing with the other one. You just delete the one you don't need. So you've got you've got it all right here, man. You've got your material orders. You'll work this thing through production the way that we just did, and you'll notice that all these checks are getting checked automatically. There was one trade on this job, so when we marked it complete, that thing automatically lights up so that we know. So now we know the next step in the process is we got to get the final check from this person, right?
Yep.
And so we can get that.
So does it automatically send a COC?
Yes.
Beautiful.
No, I'm sorry, certificate of completion. It automatically sends a receipt every time that you make a payment. But the certificate of completion, you're going to send, I'll show you how to do that right after I take this payment. So this is going to be the rest of the cash deal here, $2142.98. We're going to call this final check. And again, I'm going to have to go in here and approve this payment. Okay, so now you'll notice that it's marked as paid in full. So final check's been collected. Request reviews. This is an automatic email that goes out that
sends your G Suite.
Yeah, well, so it's almost like that. Guild quality.
Okay.
So basically, what this is, when I hit complete on this, there may be some customers you don't want to send this review to, right? But this is going to send them an email with links to all of your Better Business Bureau, Yelp, anything you want to review from, and it's going to ask them for those reviews after they've paid you. You can put it at whatever step in the process you want, but we do it after we've collected the final check, because typically, if they paid us, they're happy, right?
Yep.
And it's so just you don't really want to ask for a review before the process is complete. So then we do that. All right, and so you'll see that that's been done. Request reviews, that automatically send out those emails to your maintenance. If you want to do that, basically anything you want in this job checklist, that's completely customized. You can have all of it, you can have none of it, whatever you want to do. As your company grows, it can change, right?
Right.
And so, which takes us to, hey, now let's talk about commissions, right? Because you don't have anybody in your office. Who the hell's figuring all this stuff out, right?
I do commission payroll myself.
Oh, well, you'll love this because it's going to do it for you automatically, right? It's going to tell you exactly based off of what your commission structure is with each individual employee. If you're anything like me, I always say I'm consistent in the fact that I treat everybody differently.
Yeah.
And so I've got deals with sales guys that I don't have with other sales guys. And so that's assignable on an individual.
You ever have that come up where?
Yeah, like if they all get together at the ranch and start talking about it.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I explain the fact that it's a mathematical equation. I look at the value that he has at the company,
Yep.
and then I make that decision. And hey, you're not quite there yet, but if I've miscalculated, please bring it to my attention.
Here, let's come up with a game plan to get you there.
Yeah, because I promise you, I am consistent in the fact that top level guys get treated the same, and maybe this guy's got a higher truck allowance, but he's got a, lower job overhead or whatever the thing may be. I'm always doing horse trade. My invisible line in the sand is always 50-50, right? At the end of the day, with all this stuff added up, we cannot cross this 50-50 threshold because I've never met anybody that's ever done that and lived to tell the tale or scaled at all. You're not going to get above 10 to 15 sales reps that you all manage yourself if you're paying out more than that. That 50%'s got to include management overrides, it's got to include sales commissions, and we were talking about that the other day. But this will do all that for you. It'll lay it out to where you know exactly what you owe the guy. It's triggered whenever those things, like on this, they can always request in advance if they want to do that, but it's not going to trigger it and say that it's owed to them until that action item has been done, like collecting the first check or collecting the final check.
Gotcha.
And that's when you'll go ahead and pay those guys and get that cleared up. Or, we've got guys that let it build up, and take it out, in draws and stuff like that. And so being able to know exactly where you're at with your sales guys allows you to be able to make those decisions. Go, well, technically, if everything was paid in full, we'd owe him $30,000. So yeah, if he needs $2,500 to make it to Friday to keep from going behind on his mortgage, write the man a check. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It's hard to do that kind of stuff when you don't have that information available. You end up either like getting way ahead on somebody or way behind on somebody, and you can lose really good people that way by not knowing where you're at with them to make those kind of decisions.
That's why I really like paying. You bring me a check.
I'll bring you a check.
Yeah.
And you can set it up that way. Like if I go to tools, commission structures. So like this is just an example, and you can have multiple commission structures, but
I put the threshold at $700,000. When they hit $700,000, they get an extra percent on everything they bring me.
And you're going to be a sales rep, marketing rep, team leader. Like any of these you can do.
You customize those?
Yeah.
Okay.
So we can do percentage of gross sales.
Okay.
Which that's what you do currently, right?
For the most part, I have one guy that I do a 10-50-50 with on anything he self-generates.
Okay.
And then
so let's just flesh out what you're currently doing.
Okay.
So commission one date is on the contract signed or first check?
It's the same day. Contract, yeah. Upon receipt of first check.
First check approved.
Yep.
Okay. And the commission one amount is going to be what?
Let's go 10%. It could be up to 12
Well, so how many checks are you getting? 3?
I pay on the 1st and the 16th, or the Friday before.
Okay, so if we're doing a percentage of the gross sale and we want to break it up, so what we would say is, hey, we're going to do 3%, divide that up into 3.3% every time they bring us a check. Or are you saying 10% of the
10% of the check they bring me?
They bring you.
Yep.
10% of first check. Percentage of first check, 10%. First check approved. Commission 2 would be.
How do we make sure? Because I do pay different percentages to the same guy based on if it's a company generated lead from Google or if it's a self-generated.
Well, so that company generated lead from Google will be a lead source. And that lead source can have its tax attached to it, right, at an offset. So what you'd have to do then is you'd have to make their commission structure at 12.5%, and then you do a 2%, 2.5% kicker on the lead source as Google generated lead, right?
So Facebook,
you're getting 12.5%, and then if it comes from Google, we're docking you 2.5%.
Right.
And then that way it would work for everything.
Gotcha.
And you could do that on multiple lead sources, right? Google's 2.5%. This one's 1%. This other thing coming from this other source that doesn't cost as much. Every lead source can have its own offset.
Right.
For sure, a dollar amount. I'm pretty sure it can be a percentage amount. If it can't be, we'll make it to where it can be because we don't replace. So yeah, we can make that work for sure.
All right.
I think it will do a percentage off of the total sales amount and a percentage off of the adjusted gross profit amount. I think it'll work either way.
Okay.
But you'd set this up and then you're done. And then now you've got that first trigger set as a percentage of the first check. You got that second trigger set as when the job is closed and paid in full, then they'll get the balance of that. If it was 10% was the max allowed, then they got 5% on the first one. But let's say that the job changed, right? Let me show you what I'm talking about here real quick.
Yeah, payroll is like my two least favorite days. I mean, I love paying my guys.
Right.
But actually making sure that I'm paying them right, that's really important to me.
When you scroll down here, you'll set your max amount and your max base. So we're going to say, hey, percentage of gross sale. And this is another way that you could protect yourself from if they sold a job that ends up not being profitable, is you could say, hey, but we want to set a max base of percentage of gross profit. So we're paying you off the total sale, but if a job tanks, this is going to be the ceiling.
Yes, I do want that.
Yeah, so that's what that's for. Right. Now, you could use it as one of two ways. Let's say the job, when you're paying a percentage of gross sales, then you're not even worried about profit, right? They're just getting 10% of every check they bring you.
Yep.
But let's say that check amount changes, right? So they sold the job for 10, they added 11,000. They added $1,000 to it. So now it's off of 11, but you only paid them half of the 10. So now that's what this max base does. Is when the job is closed out, if there's a discrepancy from the beginning to the end, it pays them the balance or creates a negative number, which is mostly what happens, right? It's very rare that the jobs grow. They normally forget about cost or things like that, and so then that needs to be taken into account as well. It's super customizable though. Pretty much, there are a few limitations where we've had to tell customers, hey, you need to just kind of change the way you're doing it a little bit to where we can standardize it in the system. But in most cases, we've been able to accommodate some of the most insane commission plans out there, like Heritage's, man. That's why this thing is so robust, is because I'm notorious for wheeling and dealing with guys and just trying to drive a specific behavior. So hell yeah, I'll do it off of that. If the guy's selling super profitable jobs and he's worried about how long it takes to get the job closed out and paid in full, man, I'll pay you X amount on the first check, no problem. Because I know then it's in motion. The last thing I'm going to show you is the weather. Okay. Basically, create your own weather maps, right? So this is reported hail, ½ inch and above, hail, wind, tornadoes, 90 to 360 days. So what we're doing is we're overlapping the National Weather Archive data on top of our prospecting and job map. So if you've done 100 houses in here and they get hit again, you'll be able to send your clients that notification and say, hey, we need to come check it out. So we click on one of these, we can hit show the weather report at that time. We can where's the gradient on here? Oh, opacity. So we can thin that out so we can see behind it. And we can zoom in on this. And we can say, okay, yeah, this is an area that I want to work. So we can make our own storm swath. Say, hey, I want you to go get on some houses in this spot right here. So then that's going to put that spot on the map for me. And so what I do, then I can turn the weather off because I don't need it. What I do is that when a hailstorm's rolling in that night, this is all real time. You don't have to wait on somebody to generate, because we're not generating a swath for you. We're not like Derek over there at Hill Trace. What we're going to do is we're going to provide you with the raw data that guys like Derek have, and that's the National Weather Archive of radar imagery. So they store all that, and then the actual NOAA reported hail hits, and we overlap those things. And that's why you have this little, you can slide the slider back and you can see it in 10, 20-minute increments, and you can see how fast the storm was moving, and you can see where it started, where it stopped. That's when it kind of erupted, is at 4:17. And then look at how fast it moved through there. So that gives you the ability to kind of create your own storm track. Now, believe it or not, that's all these other guys are doing. They've got this imagery. They've got the known reported hail hits from NOAA, and then they're drawing out their map. And they're a lot smarter than I am. They've got their own scientific. Some of them are meteorologists. But one of the biggest compliments that we get is this weather tool and how it helped kind of open them to that raw data so that they could find that honey hole that didn't, these guys that are selling these storm maps, their main concern is not being wrong, right? They want to make sure that if they send you to an area
that it has hail,
right?
Yeah.
I'm not concerned with that at all. I want my guys to have a reason to go look, because it gets worse every year where as soon as the hailstorm hits, everybody runs to the hail swath. And my guys have the ability to see, did something, this got really dark right here too. Do we need to go check this out? And so that's really where the weather tool comes in, being able to actually get out there through the job map on the job app and prospect areas, put dots on the map, and really hone in on what their hail swath is going to be, where they're going to work, and immediately turn all that stuff into actual estimates based off of measurements, and just automate the whole process.
And so one guy can see, hey, another guy's already working right over here.
Yeah, so that's what I'll do is like the night of the storm, I'll just divide up the map. So if you work for me at Heritage, here's what I tell them. I don't want you driving around looking for damage. I don't want you going and getting storm maps. I don't want you doing any of that stuff. I'm assigned you an area. I want you to go get on 5, 6, 7 roofs on all quadrants of this area that I've assigned you, and I want you to put if there's damage or not damage. If you get in, 3 or 4 parts of this neighborhood and there's no damage, I'll reassign you an area. But very rarely have I ever had guys say, hey, there's nothing here. I know that some areas are lighter than others, and I'm normally that next morning when they're out there, the guys that I've put in sketchy spots, I'll be calling them, hey man, what do you see? What do you see? I got a new spot for you, and I'll reassign them a new area because I knew I was kind of fishing in the dark on that one.
So this is awesome for the door knocking. I have one guy that really door knocks, and the others run appointments. But I encourage all of them to door knock. I'm like, hey, if you want to eat, run appointments. If you want to live, knock some doors. So, but I'm thinking about getting a team of guys that just door knock and having that be like they get rewarded with appointments.
Yeah, this as I zoom in, these dots get more concentrated because from the zoomed out version, let me turn all this stuff off. From the zoomed out version, to keep the map fast, we only load 50 dots at a time. So you'll notice that as I'm zoomed in here, I've got all these different things. I've found that a large reason why guys do not like knocking doors is because of anxiety. Right?
Yeah, rejection.
I'm worried that one of my other guys have already talked to him. I'm worried that they're going to be an asshole. Whatever,
yeah, people
right?
don't want to.
I remember there was a guy that was a jerk on this street. I can't remember if it was this house or that house.
Yeah,
I'm just not going back to that street at all. But if you think about it, man, the hardest house to get is always the first one on the street.
Yep.
Because nobody wants to be the first penguin in the water, right?
Yep.
This is just human nature. So what I've found is when guys will really dive into a neighborhood and say, hey, listen, I don't care if you sell a roof or not. I want a dot on every freaking house. I want to know the status. We call it prospect mining. I want to know the status of every single homeowner. I'm not expecting you to sell a roof. I just want you to go. If they say they're under contract with somebody else, cool. Click on the house. There's their information. Under contract with other company. We're done. Go to the next one, right? They're going to stumble into roofs this way. Right,
yep.
But give them a job. When you hire a marketing team and you're paying them by the hour plus a spiff to sell the deal, we've got a marketing rep where you can keep all that stuff straight. Hey, man, I don't care if you sell a roof or not. Here's what I want you to do if you do stumble across a roof. Because then keep in mind, too, if these guys are getting homeowner information, oh, you're already under contract with another roofing company. Okay, great. If they can get a phone number or an email address, hey, do you mind if I just send you some information on our company? Do you mind if I just send you a competitive quote since it takes me 13 seconds to do one in the driveway?
Yeah.
You just want their information. because that data that your guys that you're paying by the hour is worth a whole lot of money to you in the future. Because let's say they are under contract with a company that doesn't do the best job, and then the next time it hails in that area, they get a notification from the roof choker.
You use door knockers that you pay by the hour to do this, or your sales guys do?
My
this?
sales guys do this because they don't really. I mean, we don't make it really that optional. You know, it's
Okay.
like the one thing you have to do here,
Yep.
no matter what. Number one, I don't provide a lot of leads. I certainly don't buy any. You know, things that come in organically, we'll dish out to our veteran guys. But that's the quickest way to get rid of that is don't provide them the leads, right? But no matter if you get a lead or not, you are required to square knock. You've got to knock on the 2 houses on either side of it, the 3 across the street, and the 3 behind them. And you got to give them your car. You got to tell them your roof in the house. And
Yep.
you got to let them know that, hey, if anything blows in their yard,
Yeah.
we call it square knocking. So they're at least required to do that. So every job they sell, they at least knock 10 doors. And then law of averages, you normally get 1 out of 10.
Yep.
So it just keeps them kind of going. But this allows me to manage that because you can tell guys they have to square knock or they're not going to
And
get
then they
deals.
don't.
But if they don't put the dots
Oh,
on
I
the
know
map,
my guys aren't doing it
Right.
consistently.
Right.
I know they might get one, or the lady pulls in and they walk across and they go, "Oh, hey, I'm Art." And
The best thing is that, man, when that guy, you cannot make sales guys do anything. But when those sales guys come to you, hey, Josh, man, I need to make my mortgage payment. It's $2,500. I know I'm a little behind right now. Well, you can pull up this report.
you're
You can
doing the
say,
right
hey,
things, yeah.
Hey, listen, man, you've only put 12 dots on the map in the last 30 days. How in the hell do you ever expect to make
Yeah.
a living if you're only
You're gonna have the
working-
same problem next month.
You're going to have the same problem every single
Yeah.
week, right? So here's what I'll do for you. I'll give you the 2,500, but I want you to put this many dots on the map this week, and I want you to let me know every day after you're done with it, right? And you can set up these reports automatically where it sends you a knocking report every single day or every single Friday or however often you want to see it,
Yep.
where it sends you the report of how many leads were created that week.
That's awesome.
I know you're on short time, man. Hey, thank you.
Yep. So I'm leaving Friday. I'll be back next Thursday. I want to get going November 1st.
Okay.
So as soon as I get back in town,
Okay.
or even when I'm on my way, probably when I'm on my way back, I'm gonna give you a
got
call.
it, man. You got it.
I'm just.
What do you think?
I'm
Pretty
pumped,
cool,
man.
huh?
I'm really excited for this.